and perhaps slightly hungover days over in China, testing out the fresh new Huawei Pura 70 Ultra. Huawei's most premium 2024 blower boasted a jazzy expandable camera that's almost supernatural in its ability to cleanly capture even the most hyperactive sugar-filled subjects. So here's a full tour of the Huawei Pura 70 Ultra and an in-depth look at that camera tech. And for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now the Huawei Pura 70 Ultra ain't cheap, but it certainly looks and feels as premium as that price tag. Could certainly never be described as light. 226 grams, so my little finger, which I usually rest my phone on, is already starting to ache a wee bit. And that front end, pretty similar to the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, in that the screen just curves off ever so slightly at all of the edges. But it is mostly flat, so certainly no issues with responsiveness when you grip it really tight. You've got a shiny aluminium frame which stretches all around those edges. And then around back, Huawei has slapped on what it terms a patterned eco-leather arse. Basically, it looks like leather, but it isn't leather, so Captain Planet doesn't have to kick you in the Got a choice of 3 different models: brown, black, or this here green effort, which I certainly think is the pick of the bunch. It fends off smudges and grime like an absolute champion, and that textured finish also adds a nice bit of grip. But of course, the real dazzler here on the arse end is that camera action, which, yeah, certainly stands out from the crowd. It also stands out from the back end. It's a proper full-on chunkster. That said, it could actually be a lot worse because that camera lens actually retracts when it's not in use. Open up the camera app and out it pops. And yes, if your little pinky ever gets tired of holding up the Huawei Pura 70 Ultra, well, that camera bump does double as a very nifty finger shelf as well. Up front on the Huawei Pura 70 Ultra, you've got a crystal armor Kunlun glass, which is a bit more drop resistant and considerably more scratch resistant compared with previous versions. And Huawei has also currently slapped on a pre-installed screen protector. It's also IP68, so overall pretty hardy. I'd say worthy of about 4 Stathams out of 5. Now when you want to unlock the Huawei Pura 70 Ultra, that face recognition is so swift and so effective that you'll rarely actually have to use the in-display fingerprint sensor. But this also seems to work pretty well. It's just your basic optical in-display effort. As you can see there, super swift. Only has an issue if your fingers are a bit messy from eating deep-fried black pudding or whatever. And once you're in there, oh me, oh my, you're greeted with a good bit of a MIUI 14.2. No Android as always, thanks to that good bit of American shindiggery from back in the day. But Emotion UI, as always, supports a familiar layout to many Android users. You've got plenty of customization on here, including some excellent interactive themes which are fresh and new for the Pura 70 Ultra. And these use a clever bit of eye tracking to bring your lock screen to life. So for instance, one of my favorites is this wee tennis effort. If you keep staring at that tennis ball, these 2 wee triangle fellas will knock it back and forth in an endless rally, which frankly makes me feel absolutely knackered. Whereas if you look at any other part of the screen, they'll suddenly pause in action. And there are plenty of other options on here, all of them strangely hypnotizing. Not a particularly good reason in itself for spunking out over $1,000 on a smartphone, but pretty cute. Of course, somewhat less cute is the fact that you don't have the Google Play Store on here. What you've got instead is Huawei's app gallery, which isn't quite as well stocked. You won't find any of the usual googly shenanigans, and only the occasional one you'll probably actually even recognize. The situation's certainly getting better, but there's some big gaps in this collection. For a start, of course, no googly shenanigans at all, no YouTube, Gmail, etc. But thankfully, to help fill those gaps, FNAR, you do have a good bit of petal search. Just type in whatever you can't find in that app gallery and hopefully it should pop up, giving you APK based options for installing those apps instead. Of course, you should always be careful when installing APKs because it's not quite as trusted as anything that's slapped there on the Play Store. But the Pura 70 Ultra will conduct a full virus scan and everything before you install anything, just to hopefully weed out any shenanigans. Of course, anything installed from an APK isn't guaranteed to work. Case in point, Spotify here.